Will the Senate please come to order? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Aquino, Senator Awa,
Here.
Senator Chang, Senator DeCoit, Senator Dela Cruz, Senator Elefante,
Here.
Senator Favela, Senator Fukunaga, Senator Gabbard, Senator Ihara,
Present.
Senator Inoue, Senator Kanuha, Senator Keith Agaran, Senator Keoho Kalole, Senator Kidani, Senator Kim, Senator Lee, Senator McKelvey,
Aye.
Senator Moriwaki, Senator Rhodes, Senator Richards, Senator San Buenaventura, Senator Shimabukuro, Senator Wakai. Mr. President,
Present.
all 25 members are present.
Thank you. The chair has read the journal of the preceding day and approves the same. Are there any introductions this evening? If not, Madam Clerk.
On page 2, House Communication number 889 informs the Senate that the House passed Senate Bill 228, Conference Draft 1 on final reading. On pages 2 through 5, House Communication number 890 informs the Senate that the House has agreed to the amendments made by the Senate to various House bills and that said bills passed final reading in the House. On pages 5 to 7, House Communication number 891 informs the Senate that the House agreed to the amendments made by the Senate to various House concurrent resolutions and that said resolutions were adopted. On pages 7 through 9, House Communication numbers 892 to 895 inform the Senate that the House has reconsidered its action in disagreeing to the amendments made by the Senate to various House bills. And on page 9, House Communication number 898 informs the Senate that the House has discharged conferees on various bills.
On the last one, is that 896 or 898, Madam Clerk?
896.
Thank you. File.
On page 10, Conference Committee Report numbers 66 to 70 for 48-hour notice.
So ordered.
On pages 11 to 13, Standing Committee Report numbers 2013 to 2017 for one-day notice.
So ordered.
Beginning on page 13, Advise and Consent.
If there are no objections from the members, we will be taking advice and consent on consent.
Standing Committee Report number 2005 on Governor's Message numbers 600 and 601 for adoption.
If there are no objections from the members, I have been informed by the Higher Education Chair that these two nominees to the Board of Regents can be present for our floor session on Tuesday and would like to be in the gallery for the vote. So while I'm going to ask that they be deferred till Tuesday, I certainly wanted to state the purpose so nobody is concerned that there's any trouble with their nominations. Hearing no objections, so ordered.
On pages 13 and 14, Standing Committee Report number 2006 on Governor's Message numbers 663 and 670 for adoption.
Is there any discussion? If not, is there unanimous consent? Any reservations? Any no votes?
25 ayes.
Thank you. The nominees for the respective governor's messages have been confirmed.
On page 14, Standing Committee Report number 2007 on Governor's Message number 507, Luis Salaveria, gubernatorial nominee as the Director of the Department of Budget and Finance for adoption.
Is there any discussion? Senator Dela Cruz,
In support.
please proceed.
May I have written remarks entered into the journal in support?
So ordered. Any further discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations? Any no votes?
25 ayes.
Thank you. Luis Salavera has been confirmed as the Director of the Department of Budget and Finance. Senator Dela Cruz?
Thank you, Mr. President. May I be permitted a late introduction?
Please proceed.
We have in the gallery Director Salaveria. And he has with him supporters, friends, people from his department and his family. So if they could just stand and also be recognized.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Standing Committee Report Number 2008 on Governor's Message Number 531, Sabrina Nasir, gubernatorial nominee as the Deputy Director of the Department of Budget and Finance, for adoption.
Is there any discussion? Senator De La Cruz,
In support with reservations.
please proceed.
If I could just have written remarks entered into the journal.
So ordered. Any further discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations? One reservation, Senator Favela, Senator Kidani, Senator De La Cruz. Any no votes? Thank you. Sabrina Nasir has been confirmed as Deputy Director of the Department of Budget and Finance. Senator De La Cruz,
If I may be permitted a late introduction,
please proceed.
I'd like to introduce Deputy Director Nasser, her family, her friends, and her supporters. If you can all stand and be recognized.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Standing Committee Report Number 2009 on Governor's Message 518, Gary Suganuma, gubernatorial nominee as the Director of the Department of Taxation, for adoption.
Is there any discussion? Senator De La Cruz,
Thank you. In support.
please proceed.
If I could have written remarks entered into the journal.
So ordered. Any further discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations? Any no votes?
25 ayes.
Thank you. Gary Suganuma has been confirmed as the Director of the Department of Taxation. Senator De La Cruz,
If I may be permitted a late
please
introduction,
proceed.
I'd like to introduce Director Sugunuma, his family, and his supporters and friends. Please stand and be recognized.
Madam Clerk?
Standing Committee Report Number 2010 on Governor's Message Number 532, Kristen Sakamoto, gubernatorial nominee as the Deputy Director of the Department of Taxation, for adoption.
Is there any discussion? Senator De La Cruz,
In support.
please proceed.
If I may be permitted written remarks to be entered into the journal.
So ordered. Any further discussion? Any reservation, or do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations? Any no votes?
25 ayes.
Thank you. Kristen Sakamoto has been confirmed as the Deputy Director of the Department of Taxation. Senator De La Cruz,
May I be permitted a late introduction?
please proceed.
I'd like to introduce Deputy Director Sakamoto, her family, her supporters, her friends, and supporters from the department. If you can please stand and be recognized.
Madam Clerk?
On page 15, Standing Committee Report Number 2011 on Governor's Message Number 519, Edwin Sniffen, gubernatorial nominee as the Director of the Department of Transportation, for adoption.
Is there any discussion? Senator Lee,
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support.
please proceed.
Standing in support of GM 519, Ed Sniffen for the Director of Department of Transportation. After reviewing Ed's resume, qualifications, and experience, your Committee on Transportation and Culture and the Arts voted to advise and consent on his nomination. As a graduate of Kamehameha Schools and Santa Clara University, Ed has been a professional licensed engineer with almost 30 years of experience in transportation. For the past 8 years, he served as the DOT Deputy Director for Highways, where in this role, he was responsible for 780 employees, $500 million in capital improvement projects, special maintenance projects, and operational funding. He's championed safety for all users, modernization of the highway system, and among many things Ed's worked on were upgrading highway roads and bridges, expediting conversion to clean energy fleets, reducing environmental impacts from construction, and leveraging federal dollars to affect the overall priorities of the state, including broadband, housing, homelessness, and education. As Highways Director, Ed leveraged resources and key partnerships to tackle our state's highest priorities. He incentivized affordable housing development with strategic infrastructure projects, collaborating with the counties, developers, and community members to increase access to low-cost housing. He also directed $25 million of federal highway funds toward broadband pilot programs in 8 underserved communities. And when the pandemic struck, Ed responded proactively, authorizing the use of highways facilities, notably the H3, for COVID reporting, awareness, and testing, which I think has been a first in the state for use of those kinds of facilities. Throughout his time at DOT, Ed has overseen innovative responses to vacancies in the department, like the Wiki Hire pilot program, which hired 46 highly skilled engineers in just over 9 months. As Director of Highways Division, he had worked hard to bring federal money to the state, finding creative solutions to fund projects by thinking outside the box. He's pledged to collaborate with the legislature, increase transparency and accountability, work with communities that we serve to continue addressing Hawaii's most critical needs through a connected and modernized transportation system. Given his depth of experience, I believe Ed is well qualified to lead the Department of Transportation, and I recommend we advise and consent on GM 519, Edwin Sniffen for the Director of the Department of Transportation.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Senator Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. President. In opposition, could I have written remarks submitted for the journal?
So ordered.
Mahalo.
Senator Inouye.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rise in support of GM
Please
519. May I have the remarks from the previous speaker, who was the chair of the Transportation Committee, be entered into the journal as if it was mine. Mahalo.
So ordered. Further discussion, Senator Favela.
Thank you, Senator President. I stand in strong support
Please
of
proceed.
GM number 519. Since I've been here, very short time, Ed Sniffen and the Department of Transportation, that everything that he did, everything that he had accomplished and he said he was going to do, he really put his mouth to the pavement, literally. And when we was in dire need of information on what was going on with our money from our communities, he was very much so that he was okay to explain to the community. Same thing as what Senator Lee said. He really know how to work with the community and convince them, because I was very much in my community, as you guys know, was very against teacher housing because of our traffic situation. He sat me down and he convinced me that if we work together with teacher housing, that he can work with my community in getting better ways of transportation in and out of Ewa Beach. And that's the reasons why, colleagues, I ask you guys for your guys' support for Ed Sniffen for Director of DOT, because he put his money where he put his mouth where our money is, or something like that. And thank you again. God bless.
I kind of like the mouth where the pavement is example, Senator Favela. Any further discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations? Any no votes? No vote for Senator Rhodes?
24 ayes, 1 no.
Thank you. Edwin Sniffen has been confirmed as the Director of Transportation, as the Director of the Department of Transportation. Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy to recognize our new Director, excuse me, of the Department of Transportation, Ed Sniffen. And Mr. President, I'd like to further introduce Ed's guests up in the gallery. And please rise when I call your names. Lynette Sniffen, Ed's mom. Randy and Bev Kim, Ed's mother and father-in-law. Heidi Kim, Ed's wife. And his 3 sons, Sam, Simon, and Eli. And along with them, of course, are Ed's other friends, supporters, and Ohana from the Department of Transportation. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, before going to the next item, we need Director Sniffen to stand where above the steps coming down. Just one more step this way, Director. Thank you. So much was made of the orange slippers, apparently, that he was wearing on Tuesday night for the budget hearing, and he has chosen to wear shoes to come to his confirmation tonight. Thank you, Director Sniffen. Madam Clerk.
Standing Committee Report number 2012 on Governor's Message number 515, Jade Boutte, gubernatorial nominee as the Director of the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations, for adoption.
Is there any discussion? Senator Moriwaki.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to support with reservation.
Please proceed.
I believe it is a solemn responsibility of the Senate to evaluate whether the governor's nominees are qualified to lead their departments. We look at the nominees' vision and goals, ability to inspire and lead staff, and integrity. We look at past performance, performance during committee hearings, and testimony from those with direct knowledge of the nominee. Jade Butai served for almost 11 years as Deputy Director of Labor and Industrial Relations and as Director of Transportation. He holds a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Hawaii at Manoa and also a master's from Babson College. Supportive testimony spoke of Jade as personable, collaborative, a good listener. Those who have worked with him agree that he is nice and friendly, but state that he did not lead or inspire. Several staff called him a ceremonial director. One said he was unsuccessful in gaining Jade's support to improve the agency. Instead, Jade told him their job was to be caretakers, ensuring nothing went wrong. Another complained he returned $2 million in federal funds that was to address helicopter noise without a good explanation. We also heard about the lost opportunity to get federal funds to help modernize our harbors when it became the Akaka Marine Harbor 1. And he reclassified civil service positions into excluded managerial positions by bypassing the state's required review and approval, then filled the position without open recruitment, an act that lacked integrity. During Labor Committee hearings, he read written testimony but was unable to answer questions. He lacks vision beyond caring for our workers and having a thriving workforce by enhancing current department programs. I believe the state needs a leader who is proactive and who will inspire staff to solve our post-COVID labor challenges. I have had discussions with Jade and the governor to address his performance. Jade has agreed to work together with us, his department managers, staff, and stakeholders on workforce shortage and incentives to retain talent, unemployment insurance modernization, enforcement of wage standards, worker health and family leave benefits, occupational safety and health in the workplace, support for small businesses, and addressing the need to balance labor and management concerns, and to be fair and transparent in staffing his department. Yes, I have concerns, but with others testifying to his professionalism and good character, and with his promise to hold himself accountable, to lead the department jointly with his administrators, not ceremonially, and to meet specific performance outcomes, I ask my colleagues to recommend, with reservations, Jade Butai as Director of the Labor and Industrial Relations Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Senator Favela?
Senate President, I rise in support.
Please proceed.
Governor's Message 515. I respect and I love my colleague, Sharon Moriwaki, Senator Sharon Moriwaki. I don't have all the intel that she has. The only thing that I have, Senate President and colleagues, is the experience that I had personally. In my heart, when I had asked him very kindly, not everybody maybe remember this, he was gonna let go our own Ed Sniffen when I first got into this building. And I reached out to him and I begged and pleaded to him to reconsider and giving him, Ed Sniffen, the position that he deserved. And now look where he's at today. And he took my word seriously. He came into me. And I know I made mistakes here, colleagues, before. I did. And I know I did. And I regret it. There was one that I did that I voted for, that I thought he was going to be doing good in D-bed. And he turned around and flipped this up on all of us and stabbed most of us in the back. But this time, I really believe that Jade Butai, as going forward, is going to be able to do the job, because not only with Senator Sharon Moriwaki, myself, and I told you this, Jade, that we're going to hold your foot to the fire, but I support him because of his opening his heart, mind, and soul, and gave my good brother, my good friend, Ed Sniffen, another chance to serve this community and this state, that he did a great job, and now he's director. Thank you, Senate President.
Thank you. Further discussion, Senator Inouye.
I have comments in support to be entered into the journal. Thank
So
you, Mr.
ordered.
President.
Further discussion.
Mr. President,
Senator Kim?
I also rise in support of Jade Butai as director, and I have comments that I would like to enter into the journal.
So ordered. Further discussion. If not, do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations? Senator Moriwaki, Senator Lee, Senator Keohokalole, Senator Dela Cruz. Any no votes?
25 ayes.
Thank you. Jade Butai has been confirmed as the Director of the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations. Senator Moriwaki.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to have introductions of Mr. Butai, Jade, and he has friends here. I would like Bill Kunzman, his Deputy Director, and Gracie Chikawa, his Executive Assistant, and David Rodriguez, I guess, is also in his office. And Bobby Ichikawa, Joanny Dela Cruz, Amy Agbayani, Agnes Malate, Deanna Espinas, Brian Lee, Pane Meatoga. Please rise and be recognized.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
On pages 15 and 16, final adoption of resolutions. Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 35, House Draft 1. Senate Concurrent Resolution 91, House Draft 1, 100, House Draft 1, 104, House Draft 1, and 179, House Draft 1 for adoption.
Senator Wakai,
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of said Senate concurrent resolutions.
Senator DeCoit.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any objections? If not, the motion is carried. Said resolutions have been adopted.
Referrals and re-referrals.
Referrals and re-referrals are made in accordance with the supplemental orders of the day that may be filed later today.
No further business, Mr. President.
Are there any announcements today? Senator Favela.
Thank you, Senator President. I rise on personal privilege.
Please proceed.
Today, for my staff, our staff, Minority Director, Joyce Oliveira is retiring. She's been a service to this state and the county for decades. Before she came to my office, everything that I wanted and how I wanted the office to be ran, she over and beyond on what she had done. I'm going to truly miss her. What I'm saying here is very small to whatever that she had contributed to this state. I mean, she worked with a lot of people here in this chamber, in the city and state, and the contribute that she did to making us successful and being great in what we do, from not only with us senators and representatives and council members. You guys know that she also used to work for the mayor and the rail, and she did a great job when she was there. So again, I just want to give a round of applause to Joyce Oliveira on her retirement, and best wishes.
Senator Gabbard.
Mr. President, colleagues, I have an announcement to make. As you know, recently I encouraged you, I think it was last week on Earth Day, to go out and hug a tree. If you forgot to hug the tree, today is Arbor Day, where we show our appreciation for trees. So I encourage you to go out and plant a tree tomorrow. Mahalo.
Thank you.
President.
Senator Kim,
I also rise, point of person of privilege.
please proceed.
I like to think that I taught Joyce Oliveira everything she knows. She first worked for me my first session in 1982 in the House of Representatives, and then later on worked for me for I don't know how many years in the Honolulu City Council. And then when I came over here, we couldn't pay her enough to bring her over here, so she stayed over there at the council and worked there until she finally came back over here. So I'm saddened that she is retiring, but I'm sure we're gonna have her come back in some other way. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further announcements? Senator Shimobukuro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to invite everyone to a free public showing right after this floor session in the auditorium. We're going to have Aloha Aina Films, Hawaiian Soul, Like a Mighty Wave, Standing Above the Clouds, just wonderful films, short films about the Hawaiian movement. And our own Lanakila Mangal will be hosting it, and he's one of the newly appointed members of the Mauna Kea Commission, so it'll be very interesting to meet him and talk story. So I hope you'll come and join in the auditorium after this showing. Everyone's invited for free.
Thank you. Any further announcements? Senator Kidani.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues and guests, I'd like to invite you all to an exclusive screening of the film Beyond Bars, Prison Women Speak on Monday, May 1st at 2:30 p.m. in the State Capitol Auditorium. This locally made film is produced by Kailua resident Tadia Rice and features the poignant stories of 5 currently and formerly incarcerated women from the Women's Community Correctional Center. The women allow us profound insight into their experiences in the prison system as well as who they are today. A question and answer panel discussion will immediately follow the screening with formerly incarcerated and long-term Beyond Bars participants, including entrepreneur Zoe O'Brien and Paipai o Ko'olau peer mentor Momilani Cody from Windward Community College. Please join me in supporting Beyond Bars Prison Women Speak for our exclusive screening in the Capitol Auditorium this Monday, May 1st, 2023 at 2:30 p.m. Mahalo.
Thank you. Further announcements, Senator San Buenaventura.
Thank you. I'd like to have permission for a late introduction.
Please proceed.
I'd like to introduce HSTA. Could you please stand up and be recognized? They had just ratified their agreement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any further announcements? If not, the chair has one. The decking deadline for all fiscal bills in conference is 11:30 p.m. tonight. Senator Wakai.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate stand in recess, leaving the journal open until midnight for the receipt of conference committee reports recommending passage on final reading. And I further move that the Senate reconvene on Tuesday, May 2nd at 10 a.m.
Senator Decoy.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. If there are no objections from the members, the Senate will stand in recess, leaving the journal open until midnight, and will reconvene at 10 a.m. on Tuesday.